Hi. So, a couple of experiments today. To start off with, I have this really sweet zero gravity recliner thing we got. It's like from Relax the Back store. It's normally pretty expensive. I got it used. I was having some, back when I was dealing with my health issues and had to be at an incline in order to not be in pain, basically, in order not to be in severe pain. So I had this idea it was going to work. I was going to maybe have it in here, even be at an angle or something and have my keyboard, some kind of portable keyboard on my lap and, try to make it work. Fortunately, shortly after that, I had a procedure that helped dealt with that. It was an infected abscess. Man, glad those days have passed. That was just one of the complications, my friends. But you know what? I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here with you. That whole situation is part of what inspired me. It's part of what inspired me, as I say, to put on my big girl pants. My point was, I fell asleep in that chair. I suppose I can rest pretty well in it. You get in it, roll it back. It's like, you're out. I dreamed I was supposed to remake, do a new theme for some kind of Star Trek thing. Now, I don't know if you could even say this would work for that. It's just what I heard. And on top of already thinking, I don't know if that's really going to work for Star Trek. That was my own assessment. As I think it also, there's something about it that's similar to Back to the Future. Like there was a joke I heard. This is jazz guy. He said he woke up at like 3 in the morning. He had a dream. He woke up like 3 in the morning. He went down to the studio, recorded it. And groggy the next morning, he stumbles in and realizes he'd written the bridge to Stardust, like an old jazz standard. So, that can happen. Your brain goes, hey, look what I wrote. And it's like, no, you wrote something very similar to Back to the Future is what you did, you dumb. Maybe you're sleepy too at 3 in the morning. Just shut up and go to sleep. But so regardless, it gave me the idea. What's kind of, what I like to do ideally is to be able to get some work done. And if I can do a video and show something about work, and then that work, it's like I say, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which is a little, I realize that's a little violent. So gently lifting 2 helpless birds out of the bush at once and rehabilitating them. And releasing them to the wild where they are not immediately eaten by something else, like a hawk. Nope. That just gave me the warm fuzzies. So what's more appropriate to epic superhero movies or space adventure movies than questionable green screen? Don't tell my wife. We were going to return this because you can get, I know chroma green or this kind of green. Some kind of green is typical more than blue. It used to be blue screen, but you can also still do blue screen. She has some kind of thing about this color green that makes her sad. And we were going to return it, but the seller said, it's okay. It's not worth it. And so I got it back from the outside and tested it out. Since we don't have to return it, hopefully if I can keep it out of her sight, it won't make her sad. Maybe I'll find a blue one. I keep finding ones that are either green and blue, one side or the other. And so if I'm using the blue side, she'll come in and see the green side and she'll still be sad and it won't work. Life is complicated. Gosh. So here's what you can do. Sometimes when starting an idea, especially let's say something bigger, more like trailer-ish or big like work, we're going to try to make this. You might say, hey, I'm hearing the main idea. Let me start with the main idea this time. Instead of starting with like a little more subtle, like here comes the movie or here comes the trailer. Let's just start out with the big section. See if we like what we get. Then we'll say, let's scoot that over. I'm going to scoot that over. Now, for me, it's this way. Does that work for you or is that backwards? I'm going to scoot it over. I'm going to scoot it over. I'm going to scoot it over. That should be right. We'll scoot it over down the timeline. Then we'll sort of say, okay, how can we build up? We're going to start with the main section, which is possibly a little too, it's a little too Back to the Future. I don't know, but that's okay because this one is just for your education and my practice, I guess, because as is, I don't plan on turning this in. There's no current need or request for this. And I'm supposed to be working on something else. But I had this dream and I hadn't showed you this. So it all, here we go. So, you know, it's Thursday. I still have more work to do, but this is work too. This is my work. This is, but it's not going to be minor. It's going to be major. Ready? Let's do this. We're going to start with the sound for me that instantly makes it epic. Not just because I am a trombone player or former trombone player, trombonist, but power, the low grit trombone players, a group of trombone players going for it. There's a nice balance between the low range and the edginess you can get, right? Tubas they can add a lower, rounder bottom end, you know. They can play, like, say, an octave lower with more sort of just roundness and big fullness. Trumpets can have, of course, an edge, and they're in the higher end of the spectrum, but right where the trombones are, they add so much power. And, of course, as I like to say, I'm a big fan of trailer brass from Aaron Sapp. So this ends up being my go-to so far, even though I've got lots of stuff. It's just, it works well. And as it is with production, if something works well and you know it works, it's hard to go, well, let me explore all my trombone options right now. Let me take 30 minutes and go through all my possible trombone sounds. I should, you know, maybe on vacation or something, I should be like, okay, let me go through and sort of, you know, log all my sounds, go, okay, don't forget, you know, you paid for that expensive library, try it out, dum-dum, you know, that kind of thing. Getting to know your sounds is good. This is an example of, well, this works great for me. I like how it blends in. You know what I mean? So I had heard this basic chord progression last night in my idea. Okay. Which of course was probably, who was it? Was it Goldsmith? I don't know who did. Who wrote the score for Back to the Future?
Alan Silvestri composed the song Back to the Future.
Siri says, Alan Silvestri composed the song Back to the Future. Alan Silvestri, I apologize. I haven't even listened to it. I didn't want to know. I just wanted to. Regardless, the idea is, even if I was trying to recreate it, I would show you how I would do it with my sounds and blah, blah, blah. So let's see. Let's see how long this takes, all right? Let's get to it. As you can see, I tried something, but I'm going to edit that out. I am going to go ahead and quantize that. Quantize that. Because those have a pretty solid attack. I don't want them, you know, sounding all like they're screwed up on the entrance, okay? So this is like your low-budget sci-fi movie with me experimenting with this green screen. I have it lit up. It's supposed to go on my chair. The lighting wasn't quite working, so then I put it on the other chair and lit it up with ring light I had gotten earlier this year, which I'm not really using. So now I've got this bright green area behind me. It's about like that, but it kind of works. You don't care. Why am I telling you? Why am I telling you this? So let's see where we landed. How dare you? How dare you? Dum-dum. Let's see how that works. Apparently, I went over and cut off some notes. I told it to quantize to the nearest half note. Apparently, I didn't hit everybody with that. Releases. What I really want to make sure I did was the releases. So let's see what it does. Again. Sorry about that. What did I do? Already I'm hearing, I want just a slight break. Thank God for undo. Am I right? Am I right? I want to make sure my mod wheel was up. That's how you do the volume on this one. Volume on this one. So we'll just put it balls to the walls volume. We may want to go in and mess with the volume a bit to give it a little more humanity. Oh, also, you know, when I'm tweaking the audio, I erase the parts that are going into the mic anyway. Like when I'm bonking the keys, I don't want to hear that. I don't want that to interfere with when you're hearing the music. So I edit out that anyway. So I'm going to see what happens. So I'm not wearing the headphones. It's just little old me, my little old beanie. Okay, so Aaron called this low tuba, whatever else, Horde. So we'll add that for the low end. You see how, so that's got, they also, I think they beefed up a lot of the low end and the samples, but it's not as edgy and blatty, but it's just a little more fullness in the bottom end. So it's a good balance for the bones. Now, that's not a complicated part, and yet I can't play it. So we may even have to scoot those up a little bit. I'm not sure. Horns long. Oh, we do have the horns long. I hadn't figured out the melody there. Maybe that. Sorry, so you know what? Somehow in epic music, the French horn has gotten to be very associated with either playing a melody or playing like just some sort of counter melody, some big soaring counter melody thing. So just to sort of, sometimes it can almost be a little cliche, but there's just something about it. Those French horns, that tone, it just fits so well. I think that's why it keeps getting used like that, you know? And this is French horns, of course, blowing. They're blowing the crap out of it on that one because that's from Trailer Brass. This one is not quite as... We might even try that one. Okay, let's just see how that one works. Now, probably ideally what you'd want is a patch like breakout where you can switch between long and short notes. You go ba da 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 da. We can decide, you know, where to do the short notes and the long notes, and it makes it more realistic. Since I have this pulled up and it's legato, I just want to see how it sounds to start with. If it works, and I don't have to go find a patch like that, I'm happy, right? one doesn't go up to this E flat, which maybe that's more realistic. I don't know. The other horns, the other French horns do. This one tops out at C. Yeah. I forgot I did a suspend. I was stomping all over that sus chord, right? Stomping all over it. Okay. I mean, it's not that hilarious. It's just that I forgot, and I just standing on it like, here's a D that no one else is playing in life but me. Let's add some. Let's make sure we're not overpowering. These toms, maybe that snare, just because it adds a little crispiness on top, a little edge on top. I think I was getting behind. I was listening to the French horn. If this was a quarter note, eighth note triplets, or if it was straight, it would be 2 per quarter note. Eighth note triplets is 3 instead of 2. So so we quantized to a triplet. You saw I scooted it over because I was playing a little behind, possibly because I have a buffer set, that whole thing. It couldn't be because I'm not playing it right, could it? It couldn't be because I'm off. Are you crazy? Yeah, what did that do so far? Okay. I can see some of those are off. What did I do? Did I not select the whole thing? And we could play it over, or we could go, okay, what measures are good? We'll see. When you're doing drums, think of it, just think of it, the drums on their own. What's a good blend? This damage 2, there may be more in that patch. I pulled in all these drums, so I'm just exploring some of these. The damage 1, you can hear there's a little bit of crispiness on top that's maybe not in the other damage 2. Not as much fullness and sort of to add to the mud. It's more like... So let's see what happens with you got a little... You might even put some stickity sticks in there. All right, let's try it. Let's try that again. Well, what have we here? What have we done? You can see I was like way behind. I was way behind, which is better than way ahead. What if I don't quantize? Here's quantized. What if we scoot that over just a smidge? So anyway, I quantized, but then shifted those damage 2, the sort of the top end stuff. I shifted them over a bit, a wee bit. Whoopsies. Whoopsies. Which one is coming from who? You are unsoloed in the name of me. Whatever that means. All right, I was gonna say in the name of Todd, and then I realized that sounded... You know, that wasn't really what I wasn't trying to do that one. I'd never really played with that. Here's a little tip about, is it about mixing? I've heard engineers describe that often, like, let's say if you're recording a drum kit, you know, like a typical drum kit for a rock band or something. The sound of the room is really critical to the overall sound of the kit. Some even say the joke is, you know, the drums are just there to trigger the room. They're just there to trigger the sound of the room. Those epic toms and snares, you're just hearing the close mix. It's like what happened to the balls, you know? It's about moving the air in the room. There's the original punch and dryness and punch of the drum, and then the sound of the room with it, the reverb. You hear the size and the space. And that's a very critical part of a drum sound. I mean, it's a critical part of any sound, but it's most often probably described in terms of drums, you know. So that's yeah. Whatever that means, keep that in mind for how you mix drums, and if you were ever getting a situation where you are recording drums, you know, it's not just about, okay, let me put my nice big expensive mic right against the drum, and then you've got these nice dry samples. But then what? If you have a good room, make sure you have room mics. What am I talking? I've never recorded a drum kit. So what am I going to include in this? Okay, already we know as far as filling out, you know, the space, we want the textures in the high end, in the motion. So what would we add? We know we would want to add, for example, some high trumpets. Yes. And what do I have? Do I even have long trumpets here? I don't. I gotta go find trumpets. Hold your dang horses. Spitfire audio. BBC Symphony Orchestra. Creamy, malty trumpets sampled to the edge of madness. Literally, we lost our lead trumpet player to insanity because we made him record to the edge of insanity. Those guys are marketing genius. They could sell me, my joke is, they could say, we've sampled it mothy and frilly with the most expensive vintage microphones and outboard gear. Available today for 50% off only. They could sell me my own butt. And I'd be like, this is the best butt I've ever bought. Which brings up, how many butts have I bought? 3 trumpets, none. None have been bought. None of them. Spitfire. I don't know if I spelled that right. It's so far away. Spit for close enough. Longs. That should do. A little more edge might not be bad for this arrangement, this situation. What did I play again? I did a bit of a boo-boo there, didn't I? Do I want to quantize that? Normally, you don't want to just get in the habit of quantizing everything. You know, you don't. You don't want to do that, typically. Well. I think it sounded, it makes more sense. That suspended chord goes over the course of 2 bars rather than easy fix, isn't it? Easy fix, lovers. Is anybody else doing that? What's my horn doing? Whoopsies. I was looking at the wrong horn.